If you've just started hybrid training and you're not seeing any progress yet, it's probably because you're making one of these 5 mistakes. I would know, I've made them all, so here are my top 5 that you need to watch out for. I've been hybrid training for over 5-6 years now. I've run a 19-minute 5K. I can squat 3 plates, I can deadlift 3 plates, I can bench almost 2, we're getting there, and I've made pretty much every mistake in the book, and these are the ones that I've made in the past. These are ones that I see clients making often, and this is how I resolve all of them. Now, mistake number 1 that I made, which cost me loads of progress in the past, is not eating enough. So when we're doing hybrid training, we're doing cardiovascular fitness, we're working on our strength in the gym, or vice versa, whatever hybrid training means to you. If we're not fueling our body enough to deal with the high demand of hybrid training, we're gonna lose strength, we're gonna lose size, and we're gonna underperform in the gym, on the track. So making sure that you're getting enough fuel is so important. You want to use an online calorie calculator, or just drop me a message on Instagram at coachedbyhbn, and I'll sort you out with the details. But you need to know what you need to eat every single day. And this was something that I didn't do in the past. I used to just shovel food endlessly. And while that's great and it works for a little while, it doesn't boost performance. You want to be improving in the gym, on the track. You want to be getting better in general. So you need to make sure that your nutrition is dialed in. Now, I'd recommend learning what calories you need. Track it for a little while on a calorie calculator like MyFitnessPal, something like that. So you can learn what you actually need, making sure that you're actually consuming the right amount. And then that's going to stop you, going backwards, because no one wants that. In the past, when I didn't eat enough, I was just not progressing in the gym, my runs were getting worse. Make sure that you're having carbs pre-session. That is so important as a hybrid athlete, because if you're training 2, maybe even 3 times a day, you're gonna be quite tired, you're gonna be quite depleted. So if you make sure to get some food in before you train, have 60 to 90 grams of carbs for most guys before a session. This can be some honey on toast, a couple bananas, this can be some rice, as simple as that. Get some carbs in before your session, hit your session, after your session, carbs and proteins, making sure we're getting ourselves enough food in so we can recover from the session, and then enough food throughout the day as well. Big mistake, that one, don't repeat it. Now, mistake number 2, and one that I see quite often, is doing too much. Okay, so people think that being a hybrid athlete, doing cardiovascular training, doing strength work, or working in the gym just means blasting yourself 24/7. It doesn't. You still need to manage your training volume correctly. Now, I've been guilty of this in the past. I have done way too much. I've trained 7 days a week before, gone backwards, got injured, made all those mistakes. The biggest thing that I can say to you, and what I say to clients, is that training volume is, if you think of training volume as a bottle of water, okay? So this bottle can hold 1.4 liters of water, okay? So 1.4 liters is the optimum amount of fluid that this can hold. Any more, and it's just gonna spill out and be wasted. Too little, and it's not gonna be getting the full use out of it. So think of training volume in terms of a water bottle. You want to use the most optimum amount, filling it up as far as you can, but not doing too much to the point where it's spilling over and you're getting wet. And what I mean by that is doing too much, getting injured, getting ill, and not progressing. So managing your training load, knowing what your body can handle, is so important. Think about how you feel before each session. Do a week's training. Can you handle that another week? Was that a heavy week? Do you need to add a bit more potentially? Was that not enough? So be mindful of your training volume. Don't ramp things up too soon, and see how you feel week on week. Right then, mistake number 3. Now, this is a very common one that I see with people that are just getting into hybrid training, so make sure you listen up for this one. And what that is not having a priority between strength work and cardiovascular work. So what I mean by that is the body only has a certain amount of adaptation energy, okay? When we go to sleep at night, there's only so much that you can recover from. There has to be a priority in terms of what training you want to develop best. Yes, you can, and most beginners can, increase both cardio and strength work at the same time, but it's going to be slower. You're better off just prioritizing one. So prioritizing either the cardiovascular side or the strength side. Decide whether you want to improve your 5K time, and how that would look is more runs and put in more effort into your runs, and maybe dropping back on the strength work. That way your body's going to have more energy and you can be able to put more effort into those runs, whereas you would pull back on the gym work. But let's say you wanted to increase your bench press, you would train more in the gym and running would become the secondary focus, and you might not do as intense runs, you might just do zone 2 runs. keeping the distance down, keeping the tempo down, and then that way you're gonna have more adaptation energy to put into the gym to then progress your bench press. What people tend to do and what a lot of clients do when they first come to me for coaching is they'd be smashing both. They'd be doing really hard runs in the morning and then savage leg days in the afternoon, not really progressing at either because they're not setting a current training priority. Training comes in chapters. Chase one goal, move on to the next. And that's how hybrid training should be structured. Chasing one goal, move on. I did just want to quickly interrupt the video to say if you guys are finding this video helpful, please do drop me a like. It does wonders for the algorithm and it means I can pump out more free educational training guides for you guys. Right then, mistake number 4. Now this is one that I tend to see more with people in the cardiovascular endurance space moving into the gym and hybrid training, less so with people that are hitting the gym, but this is skipping leg days, okay? So I've personally made this mistake in the past of not training legs because I've got a long run the next day, etc. Now this is one thing that you want to avoid, okay? It sounds really counterintuitive, but training legs, having a strong set of legs is only gonna make you a better runner, cyclist, and overall better in terms of endurance sports. The reason for that is if you've got a nice strong set of legs, it's going to make you more injury proof and you're going to be able to run further for longer without your legs giving out. Okay, so make sure we are training legs. Now the mistake that a lot of people make is, they don't want to train legs because the DOMs they're going to have to deal with during the endurance or the cardiovascular work they've got to do the next day, which is totally understandable, but you need to structure your programming around that. Touching on the previous mistake, try and focus on the fact that if your training priority is strength right now, then understand that you are going to have some DOMs when you're doing that run, and it is what it is. It's not the end of the world. You're not going to die. You are going to have sore legs when you're running. You'll survive. However, if the training priority is cardiovascular work, then if you've got an intense track session the next day, maybe don't do legs, do it the day after the track session and try and slot your leg days in throughout your training week when would be best. So maybe the day before a rest day would be ideal. That way you can have an additional rest. It's not going to affect any runs and then you can crack on with some fresh legs the day after that. But whatever you do, do not skip leg day. You don't want to be the guy that is a Dorito who's, massive up top and got little pins. Yeah, you might be able to run far and fast, but you haven't got a big set of legs, then you're going to look like a bit of a twat. Now, the 5th and final mistake that I hear loads of people making, I've made myself in the past before I was more educated, before I became a PT and online coach, is thinking that cardio kills gains, when in actual fact, it doesn't. Now, by all means, cardio can kill gains when done incorrectly, when cardio is excessive, when it starts to have an impact on our strength work because the training program isn't structured correctly, then it can affect our strength and size in the gym. But again, going back to my previous point, you have to pick a priority. So if the goal is strength work, then focus on building the strength. If the goal is cardiovascular work, then it doesn't necessarily mean that your strength is going to deteriorate and wither away and you're going to go from the 50 kilo dumbbells to the 2s. It doesn't mean that. You can retain your strength to a very good level and lose minimal if you put good effort in during a cardiovascular phase of building. But people think that cardio kills gains because they feel like whenever you start to build endurance sports that you're going to wither away. Now, as long as we're keeping our protein high, we're keeping our training structured correctly, so we're still hitting every major muscle group at least 2 to 3 times a week with sufficient protein, recovery, hydration, you're not going to lose much strength, if at all. The only time it would be beneficial to lose some strength is if you was doing a large endurance event. Let's say you was doing a 100-miler event, something like that, maybe the Moab 240. It would definitely be beneficial to drop a little bit of muscularity, a little bit of strength and size, just to benefit the endurance. But again, it comes in seasons where you need to ask yourself, where are you at right now? What would be the desired outcome and what you need to do to get there? So cardio doesn't necessarily kill gains. And so many clients have come to me and said, I've started running and it's killed my performance in the gym, when all it takes is a few tweaks to their training plan, making sure they're getting sufficient protein, good recovery, and making sure that these external factors are all in place. Once they're in place, you can pretty much progress your running without tanking your training at all. Very, very common one this to think that, however it won't. Get out there and prove them wrong. So there you have it. Those are the 5 biggest mistakes that I've made, I see clients make, and I see other people making in the hybrid athlete space. Now, the biggest thing that I would say and recommend to people getting into hybrid training is be a student, learn, try, fail, and just keep going with it. Hybrid training, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to train. You're cardiovascularly fit and you're physically strong. What more can a man want? It's so good when it works. I hope you guys have found this video educational and valuable. Drop me a comment below with the biggest mistake that you've made getting into hybrid training. And if you're just starting out your journey and you want to know how to structure your programming, then click the link at the end of the video to take you to my full guide on how to become a hybrid athlete in 2026. Thanks for watching, guys. Drop me a subscribe. I'll see you on the next one.